Good morning, YouTubelings. Today is the very exciting day where we start digging for footings. Spent quite a bit of time getting that area leveled out and even started some over digging, decided that was a bad idea. But now it's time to start going down. Now, here in the Pacific Northwest, the frost line's only 12 to 18 inches, so we don't have to go down far. But we're going to trench out the perimeter of the entire house, get down a nice solid earth at a suitable depth that we can start forming up for pouring the footings. There's not too much to talk about, but there is a lot to do, so I'm going to get to it. We'll bring you back if I think of something interesting to say. Man, great progress today. Didn't expect to get near this far. Trenched the entire east footing. Probably more than 3/4 of the north one. This space will be done excavating in less than 3 days. Had to overdig a fair bit in here to get rid of all the organics. And the same thing here way at the southeast corner. That's alright, we can fill and compact something solid in there and get to whatever level we want. Tomorrow we'll pick up here where we left off and see how far we can get. All right, the footers are dug. It only took a little over 2 days. I thought it was going to be much more of an effort than that. Got quite a mighty heap of dirt going over here to the side. I dramatically underestimated how much space I was going to need for that. Next up, we got some underfooting services to go in. Christina's been hard at work laying this out and marking while I've been playing in the dirt. Gonna trench out for a little conduit right there. And then this spot here is gonna get some sleeves for the geothermal ground loops. We're gonna trench out those areas, make space for those services, and then we can tune up and dial in the trench bottom to get ready for the footings.
All right, that was undisputably the waste of about an hour and a half. But that is nice. I'm going to bury him in the dirt and no one's ever going to see him again. Except you, all my loyal YouTubelings, will know what an excellent craftsperson with superb attention to detail I am. Yeah, no, I know. This was just for me. I suppose I should talk about this thing you guys have been seeing in the background for a while. This is a contraption we whipped up for bending PVC conduit. I'm not a big fan of the long sweeps that you can buy. They're not long enough, despite the name. You know, for a 2-inch conduit, you get, I forget what they are, they're like 14-inch radius. And I don't know, yeah, you can pull wire through that, but it's not easy. And most of the time you got room for more, so we came up with this for heat forming our own sweeps. But this particular setup is for 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC with a 38-inch radius. These blocks in here look like that. They're cut to the radius of the conduit that we're going to be bending so that it's supported inside. Because the thing that happens when you heat bend conduit is it can squish. It'll kink and become not round, and that's a problem when you need to pull something through it. The things we're doing to combat that are, 1, go slow and careful. 2, support the pipe all the way around with these saddles. And 3, the gap between this piece of plywood and that piece of plywood is the diameter of the pipe, so it doesn't, if it wants to squish down, it also needs to blow out the sides. If it doesn't have room to get wider, it's less likely to want to get shorter. Anyway, here's one that's already done. I'll just set it in here for visualization purposes. But you can see that these blocks, well, you can't see them, but you can imagine how these saddle blocks are supporting this pipe along its length so that it can't dip or kink or bend or do anything stupid. And it's not perfect. You know, there's some facets between these supports, but compared to a, what'd I say, 14-inch, 12-inch off-the-shelf long sweep, I mean, look at that. That is going to be so much easier to deal with. And I don't have a seam either side like you would with a purchase sweep. Less joints is less stuff for your wire, pipe, what have you to get hung up on as you're pulling it. And a larger radius is less stress as it tries to go around the corner. So anyway, we're making a bunch of these. You've seen both this jig and the bent conduits in the background of other shots. Thought it was finally time to explain what we're doing with that. And we'll see. Christina's the master pipe bender. She's been spearheading this particular effort. And though she's significantly more photogenic than me, she's not as entertained by the idea of vast YouTube fame. So we'll see if I can convince her to let us film one of these actually getting bent. And you can see what the process really looks like.
Okay. 12 inches from the end.
Yes.
90-degree bend.
Yep.
Okay.
2-inch conduit, 38-inch radius.
Yeah. Alright.
I'm going to kind of be working the thing over here, but I'm just, like, if I'm in your way, let me know. And
Like something that you were doing in here smells like hot glue.
oh, probably the hot glue.
Ah! Hey! There! That's what I'm smelling! Man,
In fact, I'm done with that, so I should probably unplug it.
my nose is smart, apparently.
You nailed it. I meant to take that off since I knew you were going to be moving this thing. I just forgot.
So that was the last pipe with that jig, right?
Yeah.
You know what that makes me want to do?
Dance jig?
Yeah. He's smart. Oh, the GoPro's watching me.
Told you I was going to turn it on.
I don't want any videos of you dancing.
Oh, of you dancing? But you're such a good dancer.
That's unacceptable.
All right, I got a fun little science project going here. So I'm planning a lot of surfaces under my slab. The house design is 100% slab on grade, and I'm a little bit nervous about that design decision. Crawl spaces and basements are great for serviceability and remodelability. You can get at your plumbing and your wiring and all the stuff that's under your floors. You can get at it and change it, add it, upgrade it, whatever in the future. But there's a large expense associated with adding those volumes to a home. And it's also, there's some building performance design considerations. You know, if you have a wet crawl space, it's a nightmare. Also, I'm going to be doing hydronic heated floors, and I wanted to use concrete as the emitter. So slab on grade makes that a very straightforward proposition. The trade-off is that if I forget something or don't think of something, putting it in later is a nightmare, if it's possible at all. So knowing that that was the trade-off, I put a lot of effort into thinking about everything I might ever someday want in this house. And I'm going to add provisions for it right now. 2 of the things on the list that I want to provision for require not only conduit under the slabs so that I can get the services into the home, but also require insulation. One of those is the geothermal loops, which that is plan A. That's going in right at the beginning. That's my primary heat source. Be a number of videos on that, I'm sure. So if that's something that interests you, stay tuned. The second one is an outdoor wood boiler. That is not plan A. I like the idea of having supplemental heat in a power outage, a way to heat the home using wood, which can be had for free when you live in the woods. Trees blow down. You don't even have to cut them down. Trees blow down every year. You can put in the effort, cut those up, and get free heat. I like the idea of being able to harness that. Anyway, not important right now. The point is, there are 10 conduits coming into the home underground that need insulation. 8 for the geothermal loops, 2 for the outside wood boiler. I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it. Underground insulation is kind of tricky in a number of ways. My solution for most of it is EPS, expanded polystyrene. It's a little white beaded packing material you get in, I don't know, what do people buy? TVs, VCRs? How old am I? That's all well and good. I can cobble together EPS sleeves for my conduits for most of the length of the runs. The tricky bit is where they pass under the footings. Services that go under the footings have to be bridged or sleeved by code. No big deal, you put in a pipe and you run your service through that. So what I have opted to do in those areas is I have upsized that sleeve substantially. I'm using 6-inch sleeves for 2-inch conduits. And then I'm taking some time right now, before I've even dug the trenches for them, and I'm going to place those sleeves over my conduits and insulate all the way around the annular space, keeping the 2-inch centered in the 6-inch. You can see behind me, I've started on a couple. I've been playing around with the process. I'm pretty happy with how it's going. It's time to bring in you for the rehearsed version. And I'm using a couple of products to do this. First of all, I'm using the EPS. I made a bunch of these rings. These do a great job of keeping the 2-inch conduit centered in the 6-inch. But making these wasn't super fast. Making enough of them to stack for the entire length of the sleeve would have taken a really long time. So even though it's a fair bit more expensive, I'm doing most of the foam with this. This is Total Boat 2-part polyurethane flotation foam. It's a closed cell foam, so it won't absorb any water, won't have any problems underground. And you mix equal parts of these two components, and you dump it in a cavity, and it, I forget what we figured, 30x expansion. It bubbles up, makes a foam, the foam hardens, you're off to the races. But yeah, I've only gotten, I haven't finished any. I've gotten started on 2 of the 10. I'm going to start a 3rd now, and We'll walk through the process of foaming up an insulated structural sleeve on a 2-inch conduit. First step is to grab one of the sleeves. And then these foam discs fit in there real nice. So I press one in, each end down, I don't know, 2 inches. Where's my camera? There, I don't know, 2 inches. Do that on both sides. I grab a 10-foot stick, a 2-inch conduit. Feed it through. Getting it through the second ring is a little tricky, but it's not rocket surgery. Just kind of eyeball it plumb. It doesn't need to be great. All right, my own little cooking show. So it's pretty simple. It's part A, part B. I have 2 paper cups that I am not mixing in. This one's always part A, this one's always part B. That way I can fill them up and eyeball them to equal amounts and tweak and adjust and whatever. If you just dumped right from the jug into your mixing cup, it'd be really hard to tell if you had too much of one or the other. But once I'm happy, I take a new cup, I dump them both in, start mixing. You only got like 20, 30 seconds on this stuff before it starts foaming. You got to be ready, and you got to have a place to put it because it's pretty unforgiving. I don't know, yeah, much part B. Looks reasonable. And this stuff is reasonably nasty. Always wear safety glasses, respirator gloves, all that good stuff. Let's see here, a little more part A, I think. That looks about right. So, those are going in there. Got a stir stick handy, and I got somewhere for it to go. No, one thing to note, this amount here is way too much for what I'm doing in the one we're walking through. I'm mixing extra so I'm going to put just a little bit in that one, and then the excess is going in the other ones I'm working on, so don't worry about that. All right, here we go. Clock is ticking. The instructions say you have 15 to 25 seconds to mix it. I found you have a little more than that, and it just says you need to mix it until there's no more swirls or streaks. Like right now, you see that? Not ready. But you still don't have a lot of time to lollygag, so I am going to head over there, mixing as I go. All right, stir, stir, stir. Not seeing any streaks. So here we go, just a little. Maybe a little more. Oh, is it going down the gap? Well, okay. Got greedy. Is what it is at this point. All right, am I in frame? Might be, actually. All right, I'm mixing up another batch. I'm gonna come up and give that a second dose now that it's all sealed up. Not super even and a little shallow, but good enough for who it's for.
Now, as you may recall, the little disc of foam is only about here, so I've still got all that to fill up. So I'm going to take this disc and push it in. Got some sticks to reach down in here, nothing too fancy. And that should be that jammed right up against the other disc down there. The other thing I've been doing is I got a bunch of little scraps from when I cut those discs out in the first place. Circles aren't very efficient, so I've been tossing them in. Not too many, the foam's got to be able to get down and around them, but every couple of layers of flotation foam, throw in a handful of EPS chunks, and that all gets encapsulated in there and insulates just as well as anything else. That's the process. I got 4 going at once. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth and dumping a little bit in each one as I go and letting them cure. All is said and done, I got to make 10 of these things, so it's going to take a minute. I'm not going to bore you with filming all of that, but the setup was interesting enough, and I'm pretty pleased with how it's coming out. I think these are going to be good Skookum insulated conduits that can run under the foundation, which is just what I needed. I'll bring you back when it's time to actually put these things in the ground. All right, took a little break from the camera and made some progress on the underfooting services. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. I saved the most interesting one for now. All we've done here is this where I'm kneeling is where the footings are going to be for the house, the foundation. And there are a couple of 4 or 5 spots where some utility or service or something is going to go under those footings to get into the space underneath the slab, or it'll come up in the mechanical room or in a wall or somewhere that I've planned. These are things like the main electrical service, water lines to potential yard hydrants, conduits for data. If we ever get fiber internet out here, I want to be able to pull that into the house without scabbing something ugly under the side. Geothermal, there's 8 conduits for ground loops for the geothermal that I'm planning. And then just some empty conduit for potential future expansion. I have some conduit running from right at my electrical panel out to the yard in places where I can pick it up in the future and fish a wire through if I ever want to put an outdoor kitchen in, or a gazebo with party lighting, or a hot tub, or whatever. I have a way to get a wire from my house to my yard without doing something janky. This one here is for an outdoor wood boiler. I am not planning to install one of those initially, but in the future I may want one, so I'm putting in provisions now. And so we have a 2-inch conduit that has a 6-inch sleeve around it to act as a load bridge under the footing. That's, as I understand it, that's required by code. And you saw me foaming those, so there's the annular space between those 2 tubes is full of flotation foam, so that is insulated. And then once we get outside of the footing, the portion of the conduit that doesn't need to bear any exceptional load, I've just covered it in strips of EPS, expanded polystyrene, and taped that on and filled the gaps with great stuff. It's nothing much to look at, but it's getting buried in the dirt, so it doesn't need to be. So we got this trench in, we got it to the right depth, leveled the bottom, packed it in really nice, and laid the pipe in. And the next step is to pack around it. Under the footings, on the sleeve where the load path is, where it's critical, we're backfilling this with asphalt millings. It's a recycled product. When they resurface an asphalt road, they grind all that stuff up and put it in a truck and ship it to wherever, recycling centers, and people like me buy it. It's good fill. It's a recycled product, so it's keeping a bunch of junk out of landfills, which I like. It compacts really, really nicely, and I mean, most importantly, my engineer approved it for this application. So in this area, we add asphalt and water it in and pack it really, really tightly. It needs to be 95% compaction for the footings to bear on. Outside of the footings, we're just backfilling with native soil. Out here is just yard. That's totally acceptable. The settling won't cause any problems. We just put dirt on it, be done. Inside the stem walls, where it'll eventually be underneath the slab of the house, I'm eventually going to backfill all of that with sand.
But for now, we're filling it in with native fill because we're just going to dig it out again when it's time to hook this conduit up. So spending money on fill for this application at this point doesn't make any sense. So we're backfilling it with 2 different materials. We're going to come up to the top level of the pipe. We're going to put another one of these in because the outside wood boiler is a circuit. It needs to bring in water, heat it up, and then bring it back to the house. So there's 2 lines that need to be not only insulated from the environment, but insulated from each other. So this one gets filled up to the top of this sleeve. Another one goes on top, more backfill, and then we'll bring it up to the level of the trench here, and we'll have a solid load path from the bottom of the footings we're going to pour through the compacted asphalt into undisturbed native clay. And everything should work great. Wasn't for where the edges of the trench were disturbed, you wouldn't be able to tell where we got the surfaces in. They're all backfilled, compacted, leveled, looking good. We went through and spread a little bit of asphalt around in here and packed it in and leveled it real nice anywhere we over excavated or had a low spot or what have you. See, there's another pipe there, if you know where to look. There's the step downs. They came out real nice. This asphalt is great. It just packs in like concrete. This we had to overdig quite a bit. It had some loose, rooty stuff in it, had to go. We dug that down, got it filled back in lifts, wetted down, compacted. Now it's solid as anything. Man, it's like a sidewalk in here. This is great. We've been all the way around. It's prepped and ready to go. It's time to start building forms. I've got wood. I'm very excited to turn that into some concrete forms. Got a cut station set up. Got a plan. Got a bunch of concrete stakes. Think I'm all ready to pretend I know what I'm doing and start building. Eh? What do you think? Looks like it might work. Might even fool the inspector. Let's make some more.
Good day. That's all 50 of my 2x6s into the trench. I underestimated something a little bit. It's probably these step downs took a lot. I was hoping this would get me more than half the perimeter, and pacing it off, this is just right at half. This is going to take 2 trucks anyway, so the plan is to do those pours a couple of days apart so I can reclaim these forms and reuse them, and same with all the stakes. Also just have a break. I've never done this before, so the prospect of schlepping 2 trucks in one day is a little intimidating. Tomorrow we'll get busy with strings and plumb bobs and lasers and all those fun things and get this staked and aligned. Then I gotta decide if I want to buy more wood or run with what I got. Either way, the light's fading and I'm pretty tired, so that's gonna be a wrap for today. See you in a couple of seconds YouTube time. All right. Spent a good bit of time aligning and staking these forms. I tried to film it, but it's just a lot of in and out and tape measures and hammers and things, and the form's moving incrementally closer to straight lines, so it's not much to watch. You just get the finished product here. And in other news, there's been a change in plans. My initial idea was to form about half of these footings, get one of the 2 cement trucks in here, do the pour, let it cure, strip the forms, reuse the materials to form the rest, and do the second truck several days later. I started to have a realistic think about what that would actually look like in terms of doing the work, getting an inspection, passing an inspection, scheduling the truck, scheduling friends and beer and pizza to get it done, and then repeating it all over again, and came to my senses. So, this was not the plan when I set out in the morning, but in my comically overloaded van here, I came home with enough material to just finish the job. So, I am going to form the rest of the footings and get everything staked in, and then I will call for 1 inspection and 2 trucks in one day, and double the beer and pizza for my sucker friends who are going to help me. Costs a little extra, but it's going to save a bunch of time, so I think it's worth it. Progress, my darling YouTubelings. Look at all this. Just realized I haven't turned this camera on since I mused about increasing the scope to a full perimeter. And not only has that miraculously gotten done in no time at all, but while I've been monkeying around with wooden stakes in this here trench, my better half has become an expert rebar bender. Look at all that. She's got to list all the bits and bobs, and she's been cutting and bending her little heart out. We got this super cool rebar bender. I'll show you a little bit of that later when we do another one. Sure is a handy dandy thingamajig. You can see here on this side of the trench we got both horizontal runs tied up to dobies, keep them 3 inches off the trench bottom, and the vertical J-hooks are all scattered where they need to be. Got kind of a cool mess of bends and ties here in the step downs. She did a great job of that. Then all the way down the line, we got stakes in both sides set to the laser. And then these stretchers, spreaders, whatever you want to call them. And it goes all the way around. So yeah, super happy with that progress. Got some friends coming out tomorrow to lend us a hand. Today is Friday. The goal is to call for an inspection bright and early Tuesday morning. I think we can get there, but I've been known to exhibit unrealistic optimism in the past. We'll see. Wish us luck. These are supposed to be, I should have a tape measure, but I'm not.
Oh, it's set
3 inches.
Okay.
from the side of the form to the rebar, so get that about where you want it.
3 inches center to edge or 3 inches edge to edge?
I would say that's a pretty reasonable tolerance.
Fair enough.
Either of those. And these things are like...
Yeah, I get it.
And then like put this, I brought a level, but I don't have enough hands to use it. But it's on the line, and then I just kind of rotate it till I give myself enough to tie there.
Sure.
And it's real easy to, rather than cutting these exactly the right length, and in fact, this has moved since I started talking. Let's put that.
We really need that
tape measure
carrier.
Um,
Looking at you, Bridget.
Oh, just for looks.
You're like, I'm gonna carry the tape measure.
An accessory.
I need the tape measure. Or you measure 3 inches.
Those kind of work.
There you go, 3 inches.
Looks good.
God damn it.
First, the Adobe's don't super cooperate. We'll put that about there. And then that about there. And then these are just twist ties. And these, like, there's a learning experience. You can actually walk around the forms and tell where me and Christina figured this out, because there's a whole bunch of broken ones laying there.
Yeah.
But you just hook both the ears and you pull and twist. And if you twist a little bit not enough, it'll just be floppy and loose. And if you twist a tiny bit too much, it'll break.
Ha! Great.
And that, I feel like that's pretty good. I was gonna originally like do a good job, but I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Damn!
Pretty good? Pretty good?
Can't believe that. The nice thing is like, after this is poured, you can just
Yeah,
get them straight. And then I think
it's all just redundant.
yeah, that's going to be the plan, and we're going to get in all of these on all. Ooh,
Don't forget.
that's pretty important. And then we'll go through and we'll do all the ones that are on spreaders and get them set up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a bunch of middle ones here.
You have to run more wood.
And I think the plan is, I've never done this before, but I think what I'm going to do is once we have all the ones on the spreaders up, we'll get some of our 20-foot rebar and run it horizontal and tie it. And then we'll be able to put this here and tie it to that and down there. Stop jabbing anybody's eyeballs.
Good enough, so I'm happy with that too. Okay,
So just kind of
keep those where they are. Okay, so something like that.
Yeah,
Okay, if you hold them.
hit it. Line-ish there.
Not bad on level.
I mean, the target is the cell of a CMU,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know we got some real
Which
estate
are
there.
like
And they'll-
6 inches square,
And once they're in, you can kind of move them around a little.
and you can bend them, so.
Come on. You tired yet? Good boy.
Good boy, Kinsmer.
There's been a flurry of activity. Tim and Zach and Bridget came out and did a bunch of work on Saturday. We made a lot of progress. Got all the vertical J-hooks put in and tied off. And then we dug these point loads. These are for columns for the porches. And assembled these rebar overpass column-y looking structures and got them suspended in there and put where they're supposed to be. Sorry you missed out on some of that. We were under the gun trying to make an inspection date, and camera didn't come out of its cubby for a little while. But you've seen bending, you've seen tying. You can imagine what that looked like. Got one really long vertical rebar here. It's going to get bent down and be a future U for ground. We'll see how that works. So that's it. That's what my foundation looks like without concrete. A whole lot of rebar, some 2x6 forms, loads and loads of work that doesn't look like that much when you step back and take a look at it from up here. But it is looking good, and this morning the inspector came and went, and we passed. He said everything's looking really good, so I ordered up 2 trucks of concrete. They're going to be here on Saturday. I'm going to find out who my real friends are, and we're going to get this thing poured. Whew, sun is bright. Stand by. Things are looking pretty wildly different all of a sudden. So I'm not much one for planning video content very well. I'm muddling through this whole YouTube thing just as much as I'm muddling through this whole building thing. But I think it's probably going to make sense to have one episode dedicated to underground services, which means that the clip I just cut to hear from contained none of this. But I'm about to get back to work on stuff that resembles underground services, so continuity-wise, I think this clip goes there. See, we've got some foam on the walls. We've got some drain, waste, and vent plumbing installed. And we got some conduits, but definitely not all of them. So the plan at this point is to finally get all of the suspect dirt out of this foundation. Nothing I've done up until this point has really needed that to happen. You can see I've trenched out where necessary to do whatever I needed to do, but a lot of this I've just kind of left be. And there's, you know, scrubby grassy stuff. New stuff's actually trying to grow. This is just loose spoils. That's definitely not something I can build on. You can see in here all the roots and stuff in this dirt. Yeah, I'm not building a house on that. Is that airplane too loud? Maybe. Stand by. I had a little run at this quite some time ago. Some of it's showing here. I don't know if you can really pick that up. But I learned that the hard pan layer is really uneven. Scraping the dirt out above the compacted, undisturbed native layer leaves a really humpty, lumpy, uppy-downy surface. So much so that I can't really drive the excavator on it, and even walking around is sort of uncomfortable. So I opted to stop and left all this junk in here to make my life easier for building all of this stuff I've built so far. But it is finally time to take off this Band-Aid. I'm going to roll through here with the excavator. I'm just going to pick and dig and scrape until I get to something I like. And I'm going to take all the junk I don't like. I'm going to scoop it outside the foundation walls. And then I can go through and put in all the conduit and bring it up where I've designed it to come up through the slab and get it all done in one shot. It's just going to involve tying into these little stubbies and that one there. Those two over yonder. There's a whole bunch buried right here that go under the footing. Those will get exhumed. Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing. So that's the plan. Next step is a whole lot of scraping and digging with the excavator. I'll set you up in a time lapse for that, and I'll bring you back when we're into the next steps. Welcome to Pipetown. Population, me.
Think I forgot anything? I got plumbing. I got conduit. I got pipes of various sizes and description. I figure in hopefully not that long, this is all going to be covered in concrete, and I'll never be able to get down here again, so if I'm going to do it, I'm doing it now. Let me take you on the tour. This here's the workshop. I think there's decent odds I might want to put a tool in the middle of the floor somewhere that needs power, and I didn't want to commit to that, so I ran 6 1-inch conduit to kind of an even spaced grid here, and they all feed this wall. So if I ever want to put a table saw in the middle, I can just chip out the end of one of these conduits, pull a wire into the wall, wire it up, not be tripping over a cord. Same wall as the home to these 2 insulated jobs. This is a future someday outside wood boiler. I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to that, but if I do, I'll have it. 2 electrical for future use. This is the water wall. Center one is where the main comes in. Right and left go out to yard hydrants. Again, not sure if I'm going to do that, but if I do, I'll have them. This is the main electrical service entrance. Big 3 inches where it comes in. All the rest are going out to various things. Right next to it in the hallway here is the bank of geothermal. All 8 of these are insulated. That's where my ground loops will come in. Plumbing for the laundry room here and here. This is a wall in the back of the guest closet. It was a convenient place to come in and out with low voltage, keep it away from the high voltage stuff, don't have any interference. The 2-incher for plumbing, the 1-incher for electrical. Here's more waste plumbing, master bathroom group. Running out that way is water main in, and then electrical for the well and a possible future cistern. Plumbing for the guest bathroom group in here. And then this mess is a kitchen island. So 2 stacks for a loop vent, 2 electrical conduit for power and low voltage. And then I'm experimenting here a little bit. I don't know if this is smart or not, but I put in some polyethylene pipe as conduit. I bought a 300-foot roll and I don't need that much for my water main, so I've got the extra. And I figured for pulling water lines through, seems like the seams in regular conduit will be more of a pain, so the stuff is continuous, nothing to catch on. This one that goes over here is for cold water to the islands. The hot water for the island's going to go right next to it. You can see the fixture I put in for it here. But I figure I'll run that through the sub-slab insulation layer so I don't lose a lot of heat to the earth. So that goes in later. And then this one that just loops up and goes back there, that's behind the fridge. So I figure if I ever do one of those under sink reverse osmosis deals for drinking water, I'm going to want to be able to feed my fridge and my ice maker with it too. So that'll let me do that. So that's the tour. That is a whole lot of pipes. It's kind of fun weaving all this stuff together, but I'm not sad it's done. Now that all the pipes are in and all the loose, rooty, nasty dirt is out, the next step is just to fill all this in with sand and disappear it forever. So that's going to be it for the talky part of this video. I'm going to cut to a time lapse of the sand and music to fade out. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.